The Langston estate was a place of splendor, a world built on riches, elegance, and influence. To outsiders, it was a paradise. But for one girl, it was a gilded prison. For years, Lord and Lady Langston longed for an heir. A child to carry their name, their legacy. But fate was cruel. Years passed, and their home remained silent, no laughter of a child, no cries of an infant. Their desperation led them to a decision they never expected to make. And so, they adopted her. A nameless, unwanted infant left at the doors of an orphanage. To them, she was a temporary solution, a child to fill the void until their own could be born. She was given a name, Adira. A name that meant strength. Yet, from the moment she was brought into the Langston home, it was clear she was never meant to be truly part of the family. She had everything money could buy, fine clothes, a soft bed, delicate jewelry. But she lacked the one thing she needed most, love. Then, everything changed. Clarissa was born, the true daughter, the rightful heiress. And in an instant, Adira was forgotten. She was no longer the child they longed for. No longer needed. No longer loved. The warmth that had once been forced upon her faded, replaced by cold indifference. As Clarissa grew, so did her cruelty. Mother says you must work for your keep, she would sneer, watching as Adira scrubbed the floors she walked upon. And Lady Eleanor. She did nothing. To her, it was simply the natural order of things. The girl they once called daughter became nothing more than a servant. A shadow. A mistake they had yet to erase. Nights were the hardest. The mansion was vast, filled with warmth and luxury, yet she was cast into the servants' quarters, a place where the cold seeped through the walls and loneliness wrapped around her like chains. Hungry. Clarissa taunted, holding out an apple before tossing it onto the dirty floor. Then eat like the dog you are. For years, she endured. Swallowed the pain. But inside, a fire smoldered. A quiet, unbreakable defiance. She had to leave. If she stayed, they would break her completely. So, on a stormy night, she ran, fleeing into the darkness, into the unknown, with nothing but a desperate hope for freedom. The world outside was unfamiliar, terrifying. But for the first time, she was in control of her own fate. She had nowhere to go, no one to turn to. But maybe, just maybe, this village could be her salvation. As the first light of dawn touched the horizon, Adira found herself at the edge of a quiet village. It was nothing like the grand estate she had left behind. There were no marble halls, no towering chandeliers. But it was warm. And for the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe. But where could she go? Who would take in a girl with nothing to her name? The stares of the villagers weighed on her, a silent reminder that she was an outsider. Then, kindness found her. "You look lost, child," the woman said, her voice gentle. Adira hesitated, unused to warmth from strangers. But something about the woman felt safe. Mama Ruth gave her shelter, food, a place to rest. And for the first time in years, Adira sat at a table where no one looked at her with disdain. She had escaped her past, but she didn't know how to build a future. Who was she, now that she wasn't the Langstons' unwanted burden? That's when she saw him. A boy with kind eyes and a quiet strength, moving with ease through the village. He didn't belong to her world of wealth and cruelty. He was free. And for the first time, someone looked at her, not as a servant, not as something worthless, but as a person. Are you new here? His voice was warm, welcoming. She almost didn't know how to respond. Kindness was unfamiliar territory. He introduced himself as Daniel, a simple village boy who worked at the bakery. But there was something about him, an air of quiet confidence, as if he was more than what he seemed. You should eat, he said, pressing a warm loaf into her hands. It had been so long since someone had cared if she ate or not. The gesture, so small yet so meaningful, made her chest tighten. Maybe, just maybe, she could belong here. She wasn't used to normal things, baking, laughter, feeling safe. But Daniel made it easy, guiding her with patience. Slowly, the ice around her heart began to thaw. Back at the estate, Clarissa barely noticed her absence. To her, Adira was never more than a shadow, one easily forgotten. But Adira was not a shadow. And for the first time, she was starting to believe that. With Daniel, she felt something she had never known before, peace. But fate had other plans. The Langstons weren't done with Adira. And soon, their worlds would collide once more. The past she had tried to escape was about to catch up to her. And this time, there would be no running. Her fingers trembled as she held the letter. The ink was bold, the words sharp, an invitation from the Langstons. No, not an invitation. A command. They wanted her back. Mama Ruth's voice was soft but firm. You don't have to go, child. But Adira knew better. The Langstons didn't take no for an answer. And Daniel, he was quiet, but his eyes burned with something fierce. What will you do? Daniel asked, his voice low. Adira exhaled shakily. She didn't know. Part of her wanted to burn the letter. The other part feared what would happen if she ignored it. Memories of the past resurfaced, the cold halls, the cruel whispers, Clarissa's taunts. If she returned, would it be worse than before? You're not the girl they used to control anymore, Daniel murmured. You're stronger than you think, Adira. She wanted to believe him. She truly did. But strength alone wouldn't be enough to face the Langstons. She didn't have much time to decide. The Langstons had sent for her. The butler barely concealed his disgust at the village. Miss Adira, your presence is requested at the estate immediately. She doesn't belong to them anymore. Daniel's voice was calm but firm. The butler scoffed. That is not your decision, boy. For the first time in years, someone was standing up for her. But deep down, she knew she had to face this battle herself. Clarissa knew Adira would come. She always did. And this time, she was ready to remind her exactly where she belonged. She left. Not because she wanted to, but because she had no choice. And as the village disappeared behind her, she realized she was stepping into a lion's den. The estate hadn't changed, but she had. This time, she wasn't a helpless little girl. She wouldn't let them break her again. Adira, Lady Eleanor's voice was smooth, practiced. You've been away for quite some time. I trust you haven't forgotten your manners. Oh, how we missed you, Clarissa purred. But don't worry, dear sister. We'll make sure you never leave again. They expected her to be weak, to submit. But Adira wasn't that girl anymore. And she was about to prove it. Adira knew this was no simple dinner. It was a test. A reminder of her place in the Langston household, beneath them. But she wouldn't be the meek little girl they used to control. Tell me, Dear sister, Clarissa mused, setting down her glass. How was life among the peasants? Did you miss us? Clarissa wanted a reaction. She wanted Adira to break. But Adira had spent years learning how to survive without their approval. You will not return to that village, Lady Eleanor said, her tone leaving no room for argument. You belong here, and it's time you accepted it. Belong. She had never belonged here. Not truly. And she never would. But if she defied them now, what would they do to her? Madam, you have a visitor. Who would dare come here unannounced? Lady Eleanor said. The answer came with heavy, familiar footsteps that made Adira's heart stop. It was him. Daniel. She had never expected him to come after her. Yet here he was, standing in the lion's den with fire in his eyes. Watch out for part 2.